Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 51. Peak Martial Emperor. Wu. Enduring the immense pain in his body, Xiaoyan's eyes turned red. Sweat soaked his clothes, and his throat kept letting out deep growls like that of a beast. His entire body trembled violently. Xiaoyan felt the qi in his body suddenly increase. A trace of joy flashed across his red eyes. In his body, an origin chains had steadily penetrated through all the meridians in his body, making a rustling sound. Flame mantra burning spell, just what is this thing? Feeling Xiaoyan's qi soaring like a rocket, Yi Tianqian took a deep breath and said with slight shock. After so many days, he carefully recalled for a long time, but he still had no clue about the flame mantra burning spell. It was as if this thing did not belong to this world. Could it be even more ancient than the Eight Powers? Yi Tianqian shook his head and did not speak anymore. The Eight Powers could be said to be the most ancient thing, and it was also the time when the Great World was born. If they went any further, it would not be something that could be discussed by the Supreme Saint. Boom! In a short period of time, an aura that was even sharper than before erupted from Xiaoyan's body. At the same time, the soft sound of the chains also came from his body. 7 rank warriors. These words burst out from the gaps between Xiaoyan's teeth. Although his face was in so much pain that it changed shape, Yi Tianqian could easily feel the excitement on his face. Looking at Xiaoyan's trembling body, sweat drenched the grass below him. His fists crazily pounded on the ground to divert his attention. In just a short while, the hard ground was actually hit by numerous fist marks. Yi Tianqian's heart also had a trace of shock at this moment. Xiaoyan's badly mutilated fists and ferocious face caused his expression to gradually become serious. For the sake of strength, I can really endure all kinds of pain. Hey, this little guy is quite similar to me in the past. Yi Tianqian lightly smiled, the hands behind his back slowly clenched into fists. Unparalleled pain crazily consumed Xiaoyan's nerves. At this moment, in Xiaoyan's body, golden flames mixed with tiny lightning continuously pierced into the former's limbs, bones, meridians, and muscles. Under the crazy piercing of the flames, Xiaoyan's body was in a mess. Blood mist filled the air, and countless meridians were almost broken. His bones were also trembling as he supported himself, like a defeated battlefield. Bang! 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 Xiaoyan's fists kept hitting the ground. His fists were badly mutilated. His white bones were exposed, stained with blood. Even so, Xiaoyan acted as if he did not hear it. The pain in his body and nerves almost drove him crazy. The small wound on his hand was not worth mentioning. Boom! After waiting for a few minutes, Xiaoyan once again heard this heavenly sound. As the 8th origin chains penetrated all of his meridians, a powerful aura erupted. It's still rising. Yi Tianqian could feel Xiaoyan's qi and did not stop at all. He also exclaimed. The rapid increase in strength brought by the combination of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame and the 3000 Lightning Monarch Flame would not cause any harm to his future cultivation. It was also because of this that Yi Tianqian did not stop him. As Xiaoyan's qi soared, the black gold force on his tattered clothes started shining crazily. The words were getting more and more condensed. After another explosion, Xiaoyan's aura finally slowed down, and finally stopped at the peak of the 9 sovereigns, only a step away from becoming a sovereign. Within Xiaoyan's body, the 9 thick and solid origin chains whistled as they passed through his meridians. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the 9 origin chains were already showing signs of merging into one. When the 9 origin chains merged into a new origin chains, it would be the time for Xiaoyan to become a sovereign master. The flames gradually calmed down from its violent state and shot out a faint scarlet golden light. It slowly spread within Xiaoyan's body and warmed up his severely injured bones and meridians. Xiaoyan's tightly knitted brows gradually relaxed when he felt the waves of soothing sensation coming from his body. The scarlet red color in his eyes also slowly disappeared. He slightly raised his arm and wiped the sweat on his face. A layer of smile quickly surged onto Xiaoyan's pale face. Finally, the peak of the D class. When he first entered the illusionary realm, he only had 3D class. Now, in a short period of a year, he had soared to the peak of the D class. Although there was a large reason for this, which was because he had absorbed the energy of the monarch flame, Xiaoyan was extremely satisfied. After the Chaos Great Monarch Flame had successfully devoured the 3,000 Lightning Monarch Flames, his strength had soared once again. Compared to the pain he had suffered earlier, it was worth it. When Yi Tianqian saw this, he also sighed softly. Although a peak sovereign was still inferior to an ant in his eyes, the speed at which he was advancing made him click his tongue. This kind of monstrous genius could even be ranked among the top geniuses he had seen in his life. I wonder if the flame mantra burning spell has evolved. Xiao Yan, who was about to take a rest, suddenly had a change in his expression. He endured the tremendous pain in his body and immersed his mind into his body. He was filled with anticipation as he felt the changes in the flame mantra burning spell. When he felt the intense heat contained within the flame mantra burning spell, he immediately burst into laughter. After that, a wave of dizziness passed through his eyes, and he was forced to withdraw his mind. Xiao Yan couldn't help but faint from the pain. Early Emperor rank. While unconscious, Xiao Yan weakly mumbled. A smile unconsciously appeared on his face. Yi Tianqian let out a soft sigh. With a wave of his sleeve, both of them disappeared. When Xiao Yan regained his consciousness, the tearing pain in his body had become extremely fuzzy. More than half of his injuries had recovered, and the wounds on his skin had recovered to their original state. Xiao Yan understood that this must be the credit of Yi Tianqian. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to recover to such an extent by himself. He looked around and found himself in the middle of the square. Without seeing Yi Tianqian's figure, Xiao Yan's mind moved slightly. The crimson gold flame appeared in front of Xiao Yan. After which, the Xiaoao suddenly jumped out from within. His intelligent eyes looked at the scarlet golden flame. His eyes were filled with excitement. The Xiaoao had also obtained quite a number of benefits by borrowing Xiaoyan's soaring strength. He could vaguely feel that he had broken through to the 8th Sovereign Master Realm. It's all thanks to you this time. Xiao Yan intimately touched the Xiaoao's big head and softly said. If it wasn't for the former making a move at a critical moment, he was afraid that the outcome wouldn't have been so good. The Xiaoao used its big head to gently nudge Xiaoyan's body, letting out a series of cheerful sounds. Xiao Yan withdrew his gaze and looked at the scarlet golden flame in front of him. In the past, after absorbing the heavenly flame in Fighting Key Continent, the heavenly flame did not merge with the heavenly flame from before. However, this was the first time Xiao Yan had encountered such a situation, and he did not know what to do for a moment. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Yan slowly extended his hand into the crimson gold flame. In the next moment, the scarlet red and the golden color in the flame gradually separated. Not long after that, two kinds of Chaos Great Monarch Flame and the 3,000 Lightning Monarch Flame appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's breathing became hurried, and he almost couldn't conceal the wild joy in his heart. The two types of flames couldn't help but fuse into one. They could also be separated by themselves. After being wild with joy for a while, a strange light suddenly surged into Xiao Yan's eyes. He let out a light breath and held the two flames with both hands. After looking at them for a while, his eyes suddenly focused. As if he had made up his mind, Xiao Yan held the two types of flames in his hands and slowly drew his hands together. Buddha Fury Fire Lotus. This was Xiao Yan's goal. In the Fighting Key Continent, Buddha Fury Fire Lotuses were Xiao Yan's trump card for all eternity. This was because the extreme power of the heavenly flame was extremely powerful. It was extremely common for Xiao Yan who used flames to kill someone who was a level higher than him. Now, in the great world, it was unknown how powerful the enhanced monarch flames that were used with stronger Buddha Fury Fire Lotuses would be. Currently, Xiao Yan only had two kinds of monarch arts, the monarch skill. Even if he was much stronger than those who were at the same level as him, he would still be forced to retreat if he encountered an expert. Therefore, Xiao Yan urgently needed a powerful trump card, the Buddha Fury Fire Lotus. Without a doubt, it was the best choice. Under Xiao Yan's control, the two flames slowly drew closer to each other. A hot and fierce qi suddenly filled the entire world. The air was filled with a force that could move one's soul. He could feel this extremely powerful force. Xiao Yan's heart trembled violently. He had such a powerful force even before it had fully formed. If it succeeded, even an expert at Zhao Qingshan's level wouldn't be able to bear it. Kai. The two flames became more and more violent, and the fire rolled. However, it was difficult to merge them even after an inch. A layer of sweat appeared on Xiaoyan's forehead, and all the soul energy between his eyebrows surged out. He carefully wrapped the two flames, and with this, he reached a slight balance point. At this moment, the boundless soul of a sovereign realm expert in the fighting key continent seemed to be stretched out. He could not control the two flames in detail. He could not feel the so-called balance even after a long time. Xiaoyan's attention was highly focused. Sweat fell into his eyes, but Xiaoyan didn't dare to blink. He focused all of his attention on controlling the two violent flames. Kai! Another buzzing sound was heard. The two flames finally collided. A violent and fierce power soared into the sky, as if it was tearing the sky apart. The space where the flames were was slightly distorted because of this huge power. Xiaoyan was just about to heave a sigh of relief when suddenly, a chaotic and violent ki was emitted from the flames. Xiaoyan's facial expression changed instantly, and his soul power surged up like a tidal wave. He only managed to hold on for a split second, and the energy produced by the fusion of the two flames suddenly exploded. Xiaoyan, who was at the center of the explosion, instantly turned pale. The enormous origin monarch ki in his body had been absorbed, and he didn't even have the strength to dodge. Stop! Just as the violent impact was about to reach Xiaoyan, a faint voice suddenly sounded from the void. The moment the voice faded, the massive energy impact stopped, and then it vanished. Little guy, you are too reckless. How can the soul of your lower realm control the holy object of a great world? Before Xiaoyan could express his gratitude, the void not far away distorted. Yi Tianchen walked out from the void and looked at Xiaoyan, who was in a sorry state. He couldn't help but curse. Xiaoyan smiled bitterly. He said in a respectful tone, "Thank you, Elder Yi, for saving my life." Yi Tianchen arrived in front of Xiaoyan in a few steps and said unhappily, "No need to thank me, as long as you don't destroy my illusion realm." Xiaoyan smiled awkwardly and shut his mouth. Yi Tianchen glanced at Xiaoyan and said, "You want to risk your life again because you have almost recovered." Without waiting for Xiaoyan to speak, Yi Tianchen changed his tone and said, "Your soul power is far from enough to control the integration of the two kinds of monarch flames, but you must rely on them in future battles. So, you must succeed in this three-step soul transfer." Xiaoyan's heart trembled. He raised his head and faced Yi Tianchen's gaze, then he nodded with a solemn expression. Chapter end.